Mm.
Hello there, welcome. Today the topic is how non-duality in all its forms of Kashmiri Shaivism, Advaita Vedanta, Dzogchen, etc. in this day and age especially is karma yoga, or rather doing karma yoga or living a karma yogic life is more akin to true non-duality than the book learning, philosophical discourse, giving lectures, reading, intellectualization that is actually more common in the spheres of non-duality. We see, so many swamis, many Buddhists, many, almost neo-Advaitins, many just modern non-dual thinkers of the West. The primary thing that's happening is they sit, they read, they research, they philosophize, they think, they have understandings, maybe insights, realizations, and then they share, they give lectures, they teach. This is a form of karma yoga in itself, as you help individuals realize these things. However, the issue is, as I kind of highlighted in my last video about how there's no concepts. Concepts don't exist. They're just parts of infinity doing infinity. Like, we don't need to make the concept of concept even. Is that intellectualization and leaving this sense of conceptualization through the process of reading, listening to words, and conceptualizing, it doesn't necessarily work very well. Not fully. For some, it will, as anything can work, because everything is infinite, so everything has the possibility of clicking us into our true self. But you can see a lot of these people aren't enlightened. They've had realizations, but you can tell they're going through desire, they're going through limitation, they have contradictions, they're living life, they're human. There's no judgment upon them, but they haven't reached moksha. They aren't completely enamored in one with their true infinity and not experiencing pain or suffering and in complete bliss. Rupert Spira, Eckhart Tolle, the Vedanta Society, Swami Guy, majority of the Rinpoches that we see and hear about. Some might be, to some extent, but I really don't think most have reached any real state that we read about, that maybe miracle babas have in the past or extreme meditators have in the past. A lot of the stories we hear about gurus and saints, they may be exaggerated. We don't know. We don't know their accuracy. We have to be honest with that. So the constant reading, the constant researching, the constant talking about it, this isn't, especially if you're in a privileged position in the world, this isn't the solution. This isn't what non-duality is supposed to be like. And I think that's why when you actually look at Ramana Maharishi, Neem Baba, Shirdi Sai Baba, you look at these like heightened masters that almost could do miracles all the time whenever they wanted, just out of this world. And there's so many testimonies that it's really hard to think that no, they're all false. They're all an exaggeration. They're not preaching the Upanishads and these books to the same extent as a lot of the non-dual teachers are these days. They're not regurgitating the same sentences over and over again to the same extent as non-dual teachers are these days. They are loving the world. They're loving God. They're doing Ishvara Dristi, seeing God in all, They help the homeless, they help the sick, they create balance in people's hearts, they help people face their contextually unique problems, and they see those problems. They don't necessarily write books, they're not on some stage making it so you've had to pay like $50 to $300 for a ticket. They're not hosting like weekend retreats for $2,000, and like if you spend a little less if you just bring your own tent. Like, they're not doing this. It's just like they made ashrams, and you can go and stay at those places for free if you're a trustworthy, loving, devoted person that's practicing virtue, that's practicing aid of others, that's doing the karma and the bhakti yoga. And the Bhagavad Gita kind of mentions karma and bhakti yoga and jnana yoga, but really it's all one thing, and these masters knew that. But outwardly, it's gonna be karma yoga. We're gonna feel so much more bhakti if we're helping a sentient being experience a better reality and get closer to God. We're gonna be more aligned with oneness that we realized through jnana yoga if we help our neighbor, if we help an animal, if we make sure the ecosystems are healthy, because they are us, it's all God. Outwardly, it will always be karma yoga. Like, almost always. The amount of jnana yoga we'll have will be these feelings of detachment and serenity, and maybe meditative practices. Maybe bhakti yoga will be some level of art, singing, worship. But for the most part, if someone's really achieved oneness with all things, they're going to try to use more than just words to wake people up. They're going to give people love. They're going to awaken the infinite force of goodness within as many people as they can. And this isn't about saying words on a stage or repeating texts from ancient books, or even riffing off of modern teachers and saying things slightly differently, or trying to debunk other people. I'm guilty of all of this, by the way. Like, I'm not enlightened. I know you know that, but I'm not. But I realize that many others aren't also. But outwardly, it's gonna be hospitality, generosity. It's gonna be helping people in need, and helping the right people in need. The jnana yoga of discernment is gonna be to help the right people. It's not gonna be trying to just like get money from the rich and like only helping them with their perceptions and their mental health and their habits. It's not even gonna only be like soup kitchens for addicts that are never gonna not be addicted to heroin and fentanyl and crack or something. That's the thing, you don't need to help lost causes. This is like an image. We see all these stories of people helping the homeless and the poor in India and in Asia and stuff, and in, more like old times. They weren't on fentanyl. They were just down and out. That's different than these days. They were in much more corrupt, less stable, less safe societies sometimes, with way less like comforts. They didn't have as much medicine and healthcare. We live in a society now that's a lot more complicated, and it's a different reality. We live in a reality where we can see the extremes of wealth and the extremes of poverty very quickly, very easily, and they're both terrifying. But the most prominent thing is just average people stuck in cycles of their mind, of their habits, of their social work life, and they have to keep doing it just to have shelter, food, clothes, and healthcare. Basic needs that we have plenty of. We have more than enough rooms. We have more than enough food, especially if we eat properly. If we eat a healthy, plant-based diet, This is way more efficient. We don't need to eat more calories than our body requires. We can even under-eat calories, and it can be healthy, as many studies show the effects of under-eating calories or calorie restriction or intermittent fasting. It doesn't mean don't eat anything. It just means we don't necessarily need like 3,000 to 4,000 calories every day of like processed foods and animal products that just harm everything pretty much. We can manage healthy lives with the agriculture we have, and if we transition our agriculture to be even more efficient and more whole foods, plant-based rather than animal-based or processed food-based. Houses, there's so many empty homes that landlords and property owners just sit on. There's many reasons for this that aren't good: greed, evading taxes, or just not wanting to change the market value of things, because if too many places go out for rent, it's going to bring rental prices down, and so they want to keep rental prices up. It's really gross. You have many just wealthy people with houses way too big. They don't ever use this whole house. Even sometimes they don't even use their yard, while other people are crammed into tiny little apartments, struggling paycheck to paycheck, dealing with maybe bugs and mold and asbestos and things that are actually like dangerous for their health because they can't afford anywhere else. And life is very demanding in terms of time and energy. It's hard to go find someplace that is healthy and to know for sure that it's healthy and to be able to afford that. So oftentimes cleaner places are just pricier, even though it should just be the standard and it should be available to all people, at least affordably, even if not free. I see basically a lot of non-dual teachers are extremely well off. They're lucky, they're privileged. I'm not doing that in the same spiel of like white privilege, shoot them down, all that. No, I just mean like they have ability to help. They're probably set for life, some of them. They probably have way more in their life than they need, maybe take way more flights than they need. Their house may be even bigger than they need. I'm not saying all, I'm not making like a painting the whole canvas one color. But from what I've noticed, many practitioners are well off. It's almost like their well-offness gives them the opportunity to even practice, whereas many other people are just struggling to survive. We should be hospitable. We should open our arms in the circle of our life. It does, like I said, doesn't mean go help the farthest homeless people you can find. It means be more open to hosting people, to giving a room to someone in need, to giving food to people in need, to helping people survive, sharing clothes if we have too many clothes, which I guarantee a lot of people have too many clothes, with even maybe going that extra step to create life, as in gardening, growing herbs, medicinal herbs, learning a little bit about that. The thing is, like, you might need a degree to be like an architect, but you really don't need to go far to learn a little bit about plants. It's all online for free. And although the science of soil and active particles in plants, active compounds, that's complicated. But to know that which plants are healthy in general, and to just put a seed in the ground and overall just let things do their natural course, simple, easy. It doesn't require a huge waste of our time. If people just transitioned all their judging, selfishness, planning their selfishness, scrolling, excessive hedonism, consumerism, vacations that are unnecessary and harmful to the atmosphere and even maybe harmful to foreign countries, and they put that into like gardening and helping people a little bit. You don't need to do all of it, just transition some of that time, energy, and resources into helping others. We'll start to have a much more bonded world, a world where people don't have to worry so much about the weight of society and society's demands and the demands of survival. And then we can actually start resting as infinity. It's not going to be easy for most people to hear a couple words about how they are God or it's all one and live that when they're struggling to just get by. It's like when you see a health coach online trying to tell people how to run a business or something, and they had a trust fund, or they, sold their soul to have a certain job and then didn't like it, but they have like $200,000 in savings. Or someone who they didn't even make money from being a coach yet, but they're just selling us on the idea of it so that they can make money, and they're just grifters. So many stories of influencers and people trying to teach, but they're forgetting some of the most critical parts of their own luck or their own life, and not contextualizing it to either the average person or at least the person in front of them. This harkens back to that toxicity of your dreams video I made. My dream is to garden, to grow food as much as I can, to grow medicinal herbs and share that medicine with people from my home, and to help people through their conscious woes personally as they need. Not to be an advertiser, not to be a businessman, not to run a website, not even to do this YouTube channel. It's just like the only outlet I have, living in a 1-bedroom apartment in a city, working day to day. My ideal life, my dream is not that all. And a dream life I have, that's not a life you get wealthy from. You don't get wealthy from selling oregano and linden. You don't get super wealthy from selling a little bit of kale and sweet potato. You don't even get wealthy from helping people nearby in need in an accessible, virtuous way. The amount of people that can't afford mental health therapies or physical therapies for their body, or even the education from like a fitness coach. It's a very classist world in that regard. It doesn't need to be. And if we're truly realizing the oneness of all things, of all beings, of us all together, we have no reason to give a shit about amassing wealth and like staying at a distance, just preaching words. It will be karma yoga. Almost every time. It'll only be the Arahats, the people that transcend all societal boundaries, that basically go beyond karma yoga. And their karma yoga will be just being infinite consciousness and being an example of that. It's not going to be someone selling retreats, selling meditation classes, writing books, and trying to get some level of wealth. You don't need to be as bad as Jeff Bezos to still be quite greedy and not doing the right thing. It's a little sharp, but it's true. This is why I speak about objective morality. This is why I speak about societal perceptions on us that are limiting us and how we can experience God. This is why I speak about going beyond concepts and even talking about concepts, because there are so many more problems and things in the way of us experiencing the Lord or the Goddess or love, that the words don't matter. The tree will tree even if we called it Jeremy instead of tree. Our problems will continue to be a problem unless they are specifically addressed, regardless of how often we try to tell people about God and infinity. This is why religion never cured everything. This is why books didn't cure everything. This is why university doesn't cure everything. Because words are just one little layer of the infinite, and they can be whatever we want them to be. We have to go deeper. And this is why the saints, the sages, the yogis, the monks, they really focused a lot on changing their diet, eating very moderately, having very little things, almost going into poverty, giving away things, helping others, living a very austere, simple, moderate life. Because this does a lot of things. This helps their own mind detach from the excess. It helps them not have the problems of attachment and excess. And it makes it so there's more food to go around, there's more housing to go around, there's more clothes to go around. Sometimes they go too strict, sometimes they go stricter than they need, and it's the other extreme. We don't need to go there. But the balance point isn't having a large house and being able to afford cruises and like having more clothes than we need and 2 Teslas. That's not the balance. The balance is sharing the excess of this world with the people around us and creating a standard of discipline, of not amassing selfishly, but doing the selfless service to the world, doing the karma yoga, where we all get what we need, where every body, every being, as much as we can, just doing our best, is able to live a healthy, safe life. So I don't know who's gonna watch this. I don't know what level of income someone's gonna watch this at. I imagine there will be a lot of people that are just struggling to survive. And you might not have a lot of wealth to give, and that's okay. But it's kind of almost more for us seekers trying to follow, emulate, or spiral in the wavelengths of other teachers. The other non-dual teachers, unfortunately, a lot of them aren't really gonna bring us there because they're not there. They're still cycling, they're still in their karma, they're still spiraling in various levels of greed and selfishness, no matter what little realizations they've had over time. I don't feel uncomfortable saying that. I don't even think there's an example that's gonna prove me wrong. And any example that proves me wrong is gonna be such an infinite, boundless, compassionate being that they know what I'm saying. We don't need to get so caught up in the teachings and the concepts. We should do karma yoga. And we shouldn't do it obligatorily. We shouldn't do it like dogmatically. We shouldn't do anything like that. But just as this earnest realization of great compassion and perfect oneness with God, where God is all things and all feelings and all people and all plants and all molecules and all waves of sensation, and to love all that as if it's God, and to remember that as much as we can, and to detach from all the little selfishnesses, all the hoarding, all the consumerisms that keep us in a state of suffering, which is a lot these days. It's a lot. So thank you so much for listening. Om Sai Ram.